everyone. I hope you're enjoying the conference so far. And a little bit about me, I'm Jessica, and as mentioned already, I've been recently working in fintech industry, and I've been a product designer for the past 5 years, helping to build products within different industries. And today I'm here to talk about using the power of design in order to build and grow products that people use, but most importantly, love. This is true for Monzo. So for those of you who are still missing out and don't know what Monzo is, to summarize it shortly, Monzo is a digital-only challenger bank, which means that you're able to open a current account without having to queue in a physical branch. But aside from not having a high street presence, Monzo current account offers everything you would expect from your traditional bank. Right now, more than 1.5 million people have chosen to bank with Monzo. As you can see, it's a huge number. But how can you achieve this? So this is a testament of how design has played a key factor since the beginning in helping to launch the brand and establish a following, both through the physical hot coral cards, but also thanks to the seamless and intuitive user experience in the app. When it comes to develop and perfect a product that people will want, love, and recommend to others, there's no fast and hard rule. However, there are 3 principles that one should follow. Number 1, focus on user-centered design. So whenever you're designing a product, the most important thing to consider is to thinking about who are you really designing the product for, because only by doing that, then you're able to solve real problems for real people. Amazing products are the ones that solve common problems in a very easy and addictive ways. But those products don't become successful just overnight. They are rather the results of several testing until they find the perfect solutions. And the way you can do that is by launching early, but iterate even faster. Because before aiming for building the product right, you should be aiming of building the right product. When Monzo started, it launched a beta program, inviting just a small portion of people to receive prepaid card, and they were also exposed with an initial version of the app. Launching early teaches you what are the features that you should be really focusing on and what others you need to scrap. When people were faced with the initial version of the Monzo app, it became clear that budgeting was the most requested feature that people really need. In fact, this evolved in having a dedicated area in the app where people can control how they're spending within their budgeting period and also be able to set targets against certain spending categories. The second thing to consider is to involve your users in the decisions you make. So always involve them from the beginning. That's something that Monzo has done very well from the start, trying to involving customers in building the bank they want to use. And they did that by setting up an online forum where people could go and talk about the feature they were using, even sharing ideas. In fact, by sharing ideas, that's how one of the most popular features came about, pot, for example, so the necessity of setting money aside. Then other things came along. Last summer, a long list was published with the most hot topics suggested by the community, and this list was made public, and that's how joint account, savings account, and the ability to add cash were added along the way. But involving your user doesn't just mean involving them to get feedback on your features or to receive bug reports. It also means to involve them when you are facing critical decisions. In 2016, Monzo faced a trademark challenge from another business, so it means that they had to change name. And to do that, they launched a name campaign on social media and press. In fact, the name Monzo is what came out of all the 10,000 proposals from people. And other critical decisions came when Monzo needed to pass on some fees because of the rising cost of keeping ATM withdrawals abroad. And to do that, they decided to involve their customer. They decided to listen to the people who were using the product, propose 3 options, and the most voted one is the one that made the cut. This resonated positively. In fact, on social media, everybody was saying that this was a fair solution, and everybody was happy that Monzo gave their users a voice. Another way to try to understand users' needs is by carrying out regular quantitative and qualitative testing, because by looking at how people are using your product, you can start understanding what are the main pain points, and accordingly, this can also inform your product roadmap. There are several ways that you can start conduct qualitative testing, and even if you are at the early stage of your product, you should really spend some time in doing some qualitative research, as even bad research is better than zero research. You can start by making phone calls, sending surveys, or even scraping comments that people are leaving on social platform, or going to a far extent by setting up diaries where people can share their experience with your product on a daily basis. This is really helpful for the design team, because then you can really understand what's working, what is not working, and taking that into account whenever you are designing new feature. But it also proves to be helpful when you're uncovering latent needs. The gambling block is an example. This is a feature that we did, and it was not on the official roadmap, and it came about just by talking to customers. And we identified that some customers were experiencing trouble when managing their finances. So we released this feature through which people can decide to self-exclude from gambling directly from the app without having to talk to anybody. We estimated that only 5,000 people would turn it on, when in reality it's more than 45,000. And the response has been amazing. And we had even people who said that they signed up to Monzo just because of this feature. So that's why it's really important to involve your customer and listen to them. Otherwise, you won't build something like this. Number 2, amazing customer care. So you should really focus on delivering amazing customer care, because if you do, then you can build a special emotional relationship with the user, and then you can win a fun for life. People who use your product are really investing their time, their money, so the only way you can compensate them is by making them feel special, part of the journey, and compensate them with an experience that they will remember. In fact, if you do it right, customer care can actually become your best marketing tool, and it can win more customers than any paid marketing campaign from a company that nobody knows. This is an example from a customer who was so happy about the customer service he received from Monzo that he decided to write a lengthy blog post about it. Unfortunately, he got his Monzo card alongside with other credit cards stolen. And when he came to contact his bank, he had a very stressful experience. But another key differentiator of Monzo customer service is that it's also super friendly. In fact, his comment was that Monzo's advantage is not hot coral card or a fancy app. It's that they really put the customer experience at the very heart of what they do. In fact, a lot of people just started to contact Monzo even when they don't have a problem, just because the service was so friendly. In fact, we had people just asking for reminder in a Craig David style, and the customer support is amazing at Monzo, like it's the best ever. Or even trying to understand if customer service is a bot or not, and asking for some riddles to solve. So very funny stories. But a great customer service is also one that anticipates user needs. When last year British Airways experienced a data breach, Monzo was super proactive. In fact, instead of waiting for customers to contact their bank when they had a problem. They actually decided to send out new cards as a precaution to protect them. So this is really positive and increases customer loyalty. Unfortunately, not all companies think it's right to invest a lot of money in customer service, as they would prefer to shift the focus on marketing. But in reality, as Sally Gronau, the head of customer service of Westwater, said, good customer service costs less than bad customer service, because really, if you do it right, you increase customer loyalty. So instead of looking at marketing and customer service as two separate entities, you should try to merge the two, align the goals, and make customer service a core part of your marketing strategy. 3, transparency. So if user-centric approach and customer service are important, transparency is even more important than that. In fact, whenever you communicate to your customer, you should aim to communicate in a very honest and clear way. The tone of voice of Monzo is a good example of that. Monzo could have just send out a playbook by email or write a very lengthy document about it. Instead, this is a very accessible page, very well written, easy to understand, in a language that everybody can actually read. The marketing team also makes regular use of blog to share updates. So the blog is not just an afterthought or a collection of random product updates or ideas. It's actually a crucial tool in how things are communicated. In fact, when last year top-ups were removed, this decision was made public. It was clearly explained why it has come to this decision so that everybody was on the same page and no surprises. A lot of companies for years have thought about having advantage by leveraging secrecy or closed firewalls, when in reality you could have far more advantage by making everything more transparent. In fact, the transparency dashboard is a good example of that, and even the product roadmap is public. For some companies this is scary, but actually this is what makes a huge difference, so people can follow along what's happening and even having a say. Another thing that you could do for transparency is making a good use of social media platform. There's a great Twitter account called Making Monzo, which shares what's happening under the hood, and it has proved to be really useful for sharing work in progress, because then we can have feedback from people even before releasing new features. And this is not just the job of the marketing team to do. Designers are actually encouraged to do that. This is an example of me, for example, using the online forum to share a work in progress feature, and this helps understanding if we're working on the right thing and make better design decisions. All of these 3 things will help building a community. Early adopters are really crucial when you're developing a product, because these people are the ones who will go even far and beyond to try your product, giving you comments and then sharing with their friends. As Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, said, it's better to have 100 people that love you than just 1 million people that sort of like you. And this is true. In fact, the community at Monzo is something that is incredible. They have helped shaping the product as it is today. As we've seen before, they have helped changing the name, they helped deciding on fair fees for ATM withdrawal. So it's really important to have those people along your journey. And another way you can try to increase your community, especially if you are in tech, is by providing something for the tech community. For example, Monzo has a very lively open API ecosystem, encouraging people to build products and integrating them with Monzo. And in 2016, Monzo decided to raise some funding from the crowd. And people were so happy with the product and so eager to own a piece of the product they love that actually the campaign lasted just 96 seconds. this crashed Crowdcube and broke the record for the fastest crowdfunding campaign ever. So this shows how people were invested, no pun intended. And the history repeated itself last year when 20 million actually were raised in just over 2 days. So by doing that, by engaging their user, by making people defining the journey, give them a stake in the company's process, Monzo was able to build a strong bond within its user base, and this really paid off. In fact, thanks to that, Monzo was able to have word-of-mouth marketing, and this actually accounted for 80% of the user growth at the beginning. The waiting list was a powerful word-of marketing tool. It was conceived actually to cope with the high demand of people asking for prepaid cards, but it became something else. It became a powerful marketing strategy and created an air of exclusivity, of people really wanted to join this hot coral club. And to spice things up, the introduction of golden tickets was something that helped even more. So people who made it through the top of the waiting list that were now part of this special club had the possibility of sending golden tickets to family and friends to make them skip a 3-month length queue. And people really wanted in. Some of them even started selling this ticket on eBay. So all of this shows how these different things help raise brand awareness so that Monzo didn't have to spend a single cent on big marketing campaigns for at least 2 years. In fact, last year was the first ever campaign. Maybe you've seen it on the tube. But we actually found out a few weeks later that maybe we could have avoided that, as Google was promoting us for free without the CEO even knowing about it. So to recap, in order to build products that people will want, use, and then recommend to others, you should focus on user-centered design, so understanding who you're designing for, involve them since the beginning, and carry out quantitative and qualitative user research. 2, deliver an amazing customer care, because if you are able to create emotional ownership, then you have a fun for life, and make customer care a core part of your marketing strategy. Number 3, transparency, so be clear about how you communicate to your customer and take advantage of platforms like blog, online forums, and social media to share progress early on and even make your product roadmap open to anyone. All of these 3 things will help in building a strong community who will root for you and will start word-of-mouth marketing. Nowadays, more and more businesses are starting to understand how important it is to deliver emotional connection beyond a functioning one. So if you manage to do that, that's how you start building products that people will love. Thank you.